Hi, this is Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons' future clearly seen in Star Trek Discovery. All right, so I've made a discovery myself, no pun intended. I think I've been thinking about this. I'm a D&D commentator, and I think all of us serious D&D commentators, me, Nerd Immersion, Professor Dungeon Master over on Dungeon Craft, Ginny D, right? Yeah, even Ginny D. I think we care deeply about Dungeons and Dragons, and we want to see its future. We want to know what's coming next. And if you think I'm wrong about this, just look at the coverage on even the mildest speculation on what book is coming next. That is what drives Dungeons and Dragons news, no question. Okay, so all right, you got all that there, right? And we want to know what's coming, right? Well, I'll tell you right now, it is very clear what Wizards of the Coast has planned for Dungeons and Dragons next, and that is post-alignment D&D. That is what I think a very distinct contingent within Wizards of the Coast wants for Dungeons and Dragons. Post-alignment Dungeons and Dragons. Now, what the heck is post-alignment What is post-alignment Dungeons and Dragons going to be? Is it going to be successful? Are people going to receive this thing? Are they going to see it as a betrayal of everything Gary Gygax stood for? Does Gary Gygax matter anymore, right? Well, all these questions are answered in Star Trek Discovery, right? So what I've realized is Star Trek Discovery shows that Star Trek, the intellectual property, is a temporal, time-based sister of Dungeons and Dragons. So Star Trek came out in 1966, and it was the vision of one man, Gene Roddenberry, okay? And he was like, hey, we're going to do this, and, we're going to bring this to life, and people are going to love it, and here's everything you need, right? So he pulled this thing out, and he showed it to the world, and this whole thing began and carried forward. Just like Dungeons & Dragons, Star Trek has multiple editions. TOS, TNG, Enterprise, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Lower Decks, Picard, and Discovery. Okay, I think I got them all there. And there's an animated show or some side stuff. There's an animated show that nobody cared about. Lower Decks is not an anime show that nobody cares about. Lower Decks is actually the most canon-specific, Gene Roddenberry honoring version of the show that exists today, by far. Lower Decks cruises past Discovery as being a true carry forward of Gene Roddenberry's vision, far more than Discovery in any way does. Okay? All right, so just like Dungeons and Dragons, it's had multiple editions or shows, same thing, across multiple decades. They grew up in the same time period, right? Like, so Star Wars and D&D came up through the 60s, the 70s, actually, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s, right? But Star Trek is 8 years ahead of Dungeons and Dragons. So if you want to see what a post-alignment Dungeons and Dragons is going to be, all you need to do is look at Star Trek Discovery, because Star Trek Discovery is post-alignment Star Trek, right? Think I'm wrong? In Star Wars, in Star Trek Discovery, the Starfleet is the Empire, right? They use conscription, they do eugenic manipulation, and they are warmongers. There you go, right? That's a post-alignment Star Trek. I really think it is the temporal sister of Dungeons and Dragons. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.